is unofficially summer in my opinion. I feel like once Memorial Day hits, I'm pretty much in summer mode. So I want to talk about some of my favorite palettes for the summer, things that remind me of the summer, things that I want to wear in the summer. But listen, you can wear whatever makeup you want whenever you want. You don't necessarily have to stick to a color theme for the seasons, but I do like to do seasonal palette themed videos. And maybe if you're interested in any of these palettes, I can give you a little information on them. Or if you already have these palettes or something like them, you can pull it out of your own collection to use for the summer season. Welcome if you are new here. My name is Rachel. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I've got a bunch of palettes to talk about, so let's get to it. I'm gonna link all of the palettes down below. Most of them are still available. I tried to pick ones that are still available. I'm gonna start with 2 honorable mentions that are not available anymore, but I have to include these 2 palettes because they scream summer to me. And then the other 10 that I have, 9 of them are ones that I like, that I recommend. And then I have one that I have not used yet that I want to use this summer. I don't know about you, but I feel like in the summer I have like 2 personalities. I have like the bronze goddess, just bronzy tones. Like I want to be bronzed on my face, on my eyes. And then I have the colorful side where I'm thinking tropical, bright colors, pops of color. So I've got a mix of both of those styles of palettes. The first palette I'm going to talk about is no longer available, and it's a crying shame. It should be a crime, in fact, because it is my favorite ColourPop palette, and it's been discontinued. And that is the Limoncello palette. Oh my goodness. This palette is beautiful. First of all, packaging, stunning. Looking at this, I want to be in Italy in the summer, wandering the streets in a cute outfit, drinking some wine. You know what I'm saying? The color story is just delicious. It is a neutral palette, but it's a neutral palette with a twist in my opinion. I think the palettes that ColourPop releases in this packaging, where it is a 12 pan that has a little bit of weight to it, where there is a design on the mirror, they have a few palettes like this that, in my opinion, that I've tried, I think the quality is stepped up. The mattes are perfectly blendable, not overly pigmented, just that perfect amount of pigment. And the shimmers aren't like ultra metallic, but they're very pretty. They have a little shine to them. There is even a duochrome here called Easy Penny. It goes from like a brown to like a burgundy with like a gold to it. Oh, it is so beautiful. I love that you've got a pop of blue, and I love the yellows in here. That is what makes this a little bit more sunshiny to me. This palette, quality-wise, is beautiful. Color story-wise is beautiful. I love neutrals. I'm so sad that they discontinued this palette, but I have heard people have seen it at like Marshalls and TJ Maxx. So if you've been considering it, I would definitely recommend it. And then my second honorable mention for discontinued palettes is also from ColourPop, and this is the Lush Life palette. This is the tropical sister. Love the packaging, very cute, and you've got a really colorful, fun palette in here. I brought this to Miami when I went to Miami last year. It's giving me Miami. We've got the deep oceany tones, and we've also got the warm neutrals along the perimeter. These metallics are very metallic, very creamy, very impactful. The mattes are beautiful, a little bit more pigmented, I would say, than the Limoncello. So if you like pigment in both your mattes and metallics, I think you would really enjoy this one. I love the theme, and it's definitely giving me summer. Again, discontinued. Why? Why do they discontinue all the best palettes? I don't know, but it's a good one. If you have it, pull it out of your collection for the summer. All right, and now I want to get to the one that I want to use. I have not used it. I did pick it up when it launched, I think at the end of last year, but I've yet to use it. So this is the Unearthly Cosmetics Daily Grind palette. I love orange. I'm wearing orange today on my eyes, and orange is my favorite color in the summertime. In clothes, in makeup, I love orange. So this is, I would say, 3/4 orange, and we've got a couple of pops of green, which I also love. I do have a code with Unearthly. It is Rachel if you want to save 10% off, and it is affiliated. So thank you so much if you do use it. Unearthly is one of my favorite brands. I think they make amazing products, and if this is the same good Unearthly quality, which I'm assuming it is, I'm so excited to dip into this one. We've got 3 different orange mattes in varying depth, and we've got a whole bunch of shimmers with variety. So I love a 9-pan palette. It's my favorite size of palette. You've got a nice mirror. And like I said, orange is my go-to for the summer. So I'm very excited to pick this one up and use it. Now I have 9 that I want to talk about that I have used several times. I have a very good opinion on the formula. And of course, I like all of these formulas. Otherwise, I wouldn't be putting them in this video. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is the Simply Posh Citrus Punch palette. I did receive this in PR. I also have an affiliate code with Simply Posh. It's just Rachel, and it will save you 10% off. How much more summer can we get here? This is a tropical drink in a palette. Greens, yellows, purples, reds, oranges. You've got a whole spectrum of bright colors. Now, I will say the formula of the mattes in this is definitely more on the buildable side. It is not ultra pigmented right off the bat, which a lot of people prefer. So if that is your preference, you would like this one. And then all of these shimmers are duochromes. So you're getting really beautiful, fun, sparkly, shifty shadows. They're not just flat like satins or barely there metallics. They're very beautiful. And they all have very strong shifts on the eyes. So if that is up your alley, I think you would really enjoy this one. I also have the Berry Icy palette, which I don't really think is summer vibes, but I also love that palette and I love the quality of Simply Posh's shadows. So I would definitely recommend this one and I'm excited to continue using it this summer. The next palette I want to talk about is the Too Faced Italian Spritz palette. This is for, in my opinion, perfect for the everyday makeup consumer who likes more neutrals, but you want a couple of pops of color, right? Because this is the perfect mix of neutral and color. And these shadows are very user-friendly. The mattes are very blendable. They are more on the, I would say, buildable side, not overly pigmented, but not barely there either. You are able to build them up to look impactful, but they're so easy to use, really foolproof. And then the shimmers in this are pretty. They're not over the top sparkly, but they're pretty. I would say a lot of the shimmers in this are textured, so be aware of that. If you don't like a textured shimmer, you probably want to skip on this. But I do like this palette. I think it's beautiful. Like I said, I see why the mainstream consumer likes Too Faced. It is just an easy formula. And the color story isn't too out of the box crazy. If you love like colorful shadows, this is probably more up your alley, but this is for the neutral lover who wants to dabble in color. And of course the theming is spot on for summer, right? Can you tell I want to sip a drink in Italy? That's what I want right now. And packaging is cute. It is slightly scented if you put your nose all the way in there, but I can't really smell it otherwise. I love this one. It's a good one. Now we're going to the bronzy side for a moment, okay? Because I love a bronzy eye all the time. It doesn't matter what the season is. I just feel it in the summer, right? And the Natasha Denona Bronze palette is a go-to staple for a lot of people, right? And we're not gonna get a lot of variety out of looks out of this. Okay, this could have been condensed down a lot in my opinion, but listen, it's a classic for a reason.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
It's a go-to neutral palette. You can make it deep, you can make it light, you can add different shimmers, and the shimmers in this are pretty. They're really pretty. They are that flattering, smooth type of shimmer, not textured, they're not shifty. You know, there's no duochromes or anything, but it's a good classic metallic formula. And the mattes are nice. They are that blendable, buildable Natasha Denona formula that I know. This is a great palette for the bronze neutral lover, especially if you love neutrals and you really want a strictly neutral bronzy palette. You're not gonna get much else out of this, but I do like this one and I'm looking forward to wearing bronzy looks this summer. Now I have 2 palettes that are smaller bronzy palettes that I think are a little bit more amped up in terms of variety and tone. So the first one, this palette is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. Like, I love this palette. It is the BH Cosmetics Optimistic AF palette. Color story, formula, 10 out of 10. The mattes in this are spectacular. I can't believe this. I think this palette is $13 right now on BH's website. By the way, all the ones I'm talking about apart from those 2 in the beginning at the moment of filming are still available. So absolutely beautiful. Mattes are perfect. They're perfect. These shimmers in this are wet looking, but smooth. They're not ultra textured. They're not crumbly. Smooth, shiny, wet, stunning. I love that we have this white metallic for the inner corner. And then these two shimmers for the lid are beautiful. And then the rest are mattes. I love a matte heavy palette because truly I only use one, maybe two shimmer shades in a look, and I use a lot more mattes in a look. And I like an all matte look, so I don't even need a shimmer necessarily. But this is giving me fiery, bronzy, but give me variety in a small package. That's what I feel from this. Love. And then even smaller than that, I have the Juvia's Place, the Bronzed Rustic palette. This is a 6-pan palette, and again, quality of shadows is very nice. The mattes are good, solid, buildable, not overly pigmented, but good, solid formula. And then these two shimmers are really pretty. I love Juvia's Place shimmers. I think they do a phenomenal job. Once again, a matte heavy palette. I really like that they included this bright orangey red. I think that really amps it up, makes it that fiery type of color story. You've got a deeper brown and then two transition-y shades that you can play with depending on how you want the look to go. And with this being only 6 pans, I still think there's a pretty darn good variety that you can get with this. I like this one a lot. Now we're gonna go back into the colorful side. I always tell people, if you are a color lover and you want to try Nomad Cosmetics, this is the palette I would definitely recommend for you. This is the Monteverde Cloud Forest palette from Nomad. The quality of these shadows, I think of all the Nomad palettes I've tried, best quality. The mattes are looking like what you see in the pan without creating a mess, without being hard to blend, which a lot of bright, colorful shadows can be. They can be intimidating. Very easy to use, but they look like they do in the pan, which I think is awesome. The shimmers in this are beautiful. My favorite Nomad shimmer formula, where it's an opaque, sparkly shimmer that is creamy. All the shimmers in here are so beautiful. There's even a duochrome up here, which is a very interesting duochrome that I don't know that I've seen, called Hanging Bridges, that is a green to a pink duochrome. You've got tons of variety of bright pops of color that are perfect for the summertime. And if I want to get a colorful look, this is definitely one of the palettes that I think about. Another like jungle, colorful, bright, fun palette that I think about for the summer is the Blend Bunny Primal palette. Blend Bunny has a ton of colorful palettes and a lot of them are very summer-esque. But this is kind of the one that I think about on the top of my head when I think about summertime. So this palette is a complement to their Blends palette, which is their rainbow all matte palette. This does have some shimmers in here. If you like colorful shadows that are, again, it's like a perfect formula in terms of the mattes. They're not hard to blend. They're not overly pigmented, but they end up showing up like they do in the pan. They are so easy to use. They don't create tons of fallout. Blend Bunny has one of my favorite matte formulas, if not my favorite matte formula on the market. And then I am not a huge fan of the shimmers because they are more on the dark side, but I know some people love a dark shimmer. So if you like a dark shimmer, these are really beautiful. They're sparkly, they're impactful, they're not satin, they're not dull, they're not barely there, they're there. And then of course we have a white and a black, which I always love to have in palettes, especially their matte white. I reach for their matte white in their palettes almost daily. If I want a matte white, I try to grab one of their palettes close to me. So this is a beautiful, fun, bright jungle summer palette. Highly recommend Blend Bunny if you haven't tried them. If you haven't, where have you been? And then my last two palettes are from Odin's Eye. So the first one I want to talk about is a collaboration palette, and this is between Odin's Eye and Betty Jean, known as Batty Bean here on YouTube. So there was a collaboration with 3 YouTubers, and they each released a palette recently, and I think this one is perfect for summer. Again, bright colors. And this of the 3 actually ended up being my favorite palette. They were all beautiful and all very different, but this one was the one I reached for the most, which to me was a shock. I wasn't expecting that. The quality of these shadows is so good, as with Odin's Eye all of the time. Their shadows are great. I love how this is laid out, at least in my eyes. You can just work in duos because they go together so well. It's very foolproof. And that is kind of how I personally have been using this palette the most, is just doing one matte and one shimmer. And it's very simple, but it looks fun and bright. The matte formula in this is really nice because it is more buildable, that you can get a beautiful blend. You can get the color, but it's not scary to use. And then the shimmers are beautiful. There's different textures, as with Odin's Eye palettes. A lot of the time they put different textures in each palette. There's also a multi-chrome in here. Fauna, which is beautiful. I love this palette and it's perfect for summer. I'm definitely going to be using this summer. And then the last palette I want to talk about is also from Odin's Eye, and this is the Soul Mana 2 palette. This, look at the cover. The sun is shining. We've got rainbow. This is giving me summer. And on the inside, oof. If you've been here before, you know I've said in the past, I'm not really a blue girl. These blues are beautiful. I don't know what it is about them. They just look so beautiful. And then we've got some purples, which I always love. And then you've got a row of warm tones at the bottom. You have this black down here, which is ultra black. I love using this as eyeliner. It literally looks like a liquid eyeliner. The shimmers in here are just beautiful. No multi-chromes in this palette, just straight up beautiful shimmers. And all of the mattes are that good Odin's Eye quality where they're just beautiful, looking like they are in the pan, but not overly pigmented. You know what I'm saying? Just beautiful. So this one is definitely a great one for summer as well, especially if you like color. All right, and that is it for this palette video. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I want to hear your thoughts. What are your favorite palettes for the summer? What palettes in your collection give you summer vibes? What palettes that I mentioned today do you love that you want to use for the summertime? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I love hearing from you. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot when you do that. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave. I do upload videos weekly and I would love to see you back on my channel again. I want to thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.